In the last video, I said possibly Sea Ray's walls. I'm going to retract that statement because it's an understatement. Sea Ray's walls was killing. He was wrecking shit. He was a savage. He was like he. So the three people expected to win, either myself, Immortal Technique, Sea Ray's walls. It's my perspective. All right, I'm speaking of a specific time. Some people who were around a little before me, all stars, that would win a lot as well. Pac FM, Tone Deaf, Subconscious. I'm trying to think if there's anybody who's Pumpkinhead, late great Pumpkinhead. These are some of the top names that are coming to mind. It's a legendary class. It's a legendary class. After us, people like Awkwards would come around. Awkwards was like a fan, like he was, but we were the generation before the Fight Club thing. People like Awkwards and Disaster are a part of something. What this thing would ultimately become. I was a part of it when it was very premature. So by the time the Fight Club came around, I was already at a place where I was like, I'm not doing this battle thing anymore. I was taking the career aspect of it more seriously. When I battled and I did these open mics, it would sometimes be to win a slot so you could perform. We did these things because we wanted to get light so that we could get out there as artists. There was no option to be a battle rapper as a career. That didn't exist. So we were doing these things just, out of hunger for the recognition. There came a point, so the same way that I had to remove myself from just hanging out on the street, there came a point that I had to make a concerted effort to produce an album. Now, I had to grow as an artist, and I recognized what I needed to achieve. I had to make the transition from a very what's the word I'm looking for? I guess underdeveloped rapper's rapper into somewhat of a songwriter. I wanted to take all of the elements that I enjoyed in MCing, but I wanted to be able to incorporate them in the formulation of a cohesive piece of work, something that has an intro, a body, a conclusion, and where I'm not compromising language for the sake of flexing skill. I'm going to flex the skill, but I don't want to compromise the fluidity of. I'll put it to you this way. I have a thought. How can I best express this thought? I want to get this thought across. I want to get the thought across in rhyme form. But I want to speak plain English. I do not want to compromise the English for the sake of the rhyme. Whereas before, I would do that. I was just in love with the sound language of everything. Just slice and dice the mic device, I'm typing nice, I just love that type of shit. So now it has to be cohesive. Now it has to flow. Now it has to. And Eminem, to me, was a great example of that because Eminem was very patternized in what he was doing, but he would speak. He didn't compromise language. You know, he would speak. He would speak directly to you, and it would make sense. But yet, it was very well patternized, and it incorporated the punchline and all of these things. So I made a real effort to grow in that way, and to, you see, because there was something that was going on at around this time where, especially in that group of people, that thing that I was a part of, was kind of a backlash to what was going on in the mainstream. But within that backlash, it became its own kind of cliche because it became a lot of people were rapping about how they were just great at rapping and how they are not the players and that they don't do it for the money, and and they just kept rapping about rapping, right? And that doesn't necessarily make for the greatest content. It appeals to other rappers or maybe aspiring rappers, but it kind of became that thing. And just people were producing songs that were, these verses could be removed from the song and it just performed, used against an opponent in a battle. I knew that I had to evolve and get away from that. I knew I had to make substantive material. So I focused and I made my first album. And I remember I would sell the CD. Now you have an album. Now you have to try to get shows, or you want to try to get signed. I had something on the table with Baby Grand. The Baby Grand was. I feel like I'm skipping ahead a lot of shit, man. If anything, I'll come back to it and talk about details. But here I am with an album now. I end up with I got something with Baby Grand on the table. But the guy's kind of fucking around. You know, he wants to do a deal, go get a lawyer. Okay, so I go get the lawyer. Maybe just do it without the lawyer. We'll just put it out. It's just always some nonsense with this fucking guy. So that doesn't really pan out. So I'm out here and I'm going to do shows and I'm going to sell the CD at the shows. See, back then, you could sell your CD at somebody else's show. Sometimes what I would do is I'd go to an Aesop Rock show and I could sell about, like, I don't know, 13 to 20 CDs. So that's like a $200 night. So now, mind you, I mean, that's not really bad. You're talking about, like, what, early 2000s, right? So it's like I can go to a show and make $200 just for being in attendance, right? I mean, that's pretty good. You do that on a consistent level. I mean, you could stack some money. So you could do that back then. Good luck doing it now. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm sure there are still people pushing CDs on the street, but more than anything, it's just the power of their hustle. It's just the power for them to be able to get someone to take $5 and give it to them, because it's pretty unlikely that that person is taking a CD home, putting it in their computer, uploading it to their library so they can find out that you're garbage. So anyway, I shouldn't say it. I'm sorry. Maybe they're not garbage. I don't want to be negative. I think negativity is a form of weakness. But anyway, so you could sell your CD and you can make money, right? So this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. So I have my album. To me, it's a solid piece of work. But I have to get, I developed as a writer, but I have to develop as a vocalist in the booth, because my delivery at the time is very monotone. It's very just kind of straight through the whole thing. I'm very voice conscious. I'm trying to keep like a certain tone. I'm very much in my head. I have to make an effort to come out of that. To where it has a little more feeling and more, you know what I'm saying? Not just so like trying to be perfective, like a fucking machine. Um, so and these are the artistic feats that I will try to, uh, you know, these are artistic aspirations, things I aspire to aspire to achieve and grow into artistically. Um, but on the groundwork, that's right. It seems like these videos are gonna just have to get longer and longer because the 10 minutes going by too fast. Um, on the ground, I have to do a lot of work, and I'm trying to do a lot of work. I am going around to, you know, back then, what you had to do was you wanted to try to get write ups in magazines. I love how everything changed. So in order to go to get the write up in the magazine, you either have to know people or you're gonna go to these offices. I'm going to these goddamn offices and I'm knocking on all these doors. I'm spending time calling numbers. I'm spending time doing all of these different things to try to get this project out there. And I'm going to leave it there to be continued on the next one.